Hey guys, how's it going? It's Junaid here on this live stream. You know, Pat Flynn started this, or he didn't start, he challenged us to do a 7-day live stream challenge, and I signed up. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to show up even on any day. So here I am. I'm doing my 7-day times two, a 14-day challenge. And this is my day one of this live stream challenge. So in this challenge, I want to focus on something that's very near and dear to me, because in the early days of my podcasting, hacks and hobbies. Number one, I started without even thinking of the name. I just wanted the reps in. So I started the podcast without even the name. I was like, you know what? This is the first episode. I'm not sure what this is going to be called, but here I am putting my face forward and recording this conversation. So that was the first episode. You can still go and listen to it. It's called Queen Bee. But I came to this realization that simply publishing those episodes wasn't enough, right? It was great because I was getting the reps in. But what wasn't awesome was that where is all these conversations going, what was happening regardless. And then I remember hitting publish on episode 50. I was like, whoa, 50 episodes published. Didn't really push it live on everybody and, even talk about it. I'm just like, hey, yes, I have a podcast. Here's what I talk about. And then I hit 100. And I was like, okay, I'm bringing guests in. I'm talking to people. I'm building these connections. I'm building these emotions. And then 200 episodes. I was like, wow, this is really moving. I'm having a ton of fun. But what was crazy is that, dude, I felt like that I was on a hamster wheel, right? The downloads were there. That's totally fine. But something that was totally missing. And I couldn't put a finger on it. I just couldn't, right? Because the conversations that I was having, they were absolutely incredible. But they felt ephemeral. Some of the conversations were super deep. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool, especially with Ozzy Koto in one of the episodes in the first season. So they would air, they would get a few listens here and there, and then they would disappear into the feed. It was a content factory, not a community builder. And that's the trap that most podcasters fall into. They're told content is king. And for the most part, it absolutely is, right? Content is definitely king. It teaches and it builds your content. It builds a library of your work. Content enables you to write books, post blogs. But what people are doing, thinking that content is king, creating these podcast episodes, there's a big disconnect. So we churn out episode after episode, hoping for that viral hit. But then there's also pod fade, because when we're not getting that viral hit, we're not getting that feedback from the audience. It's like, okay, maybe it's the content. But what if the real problem isn't your content, right? What if it's your system? Because when you have a powerful, positive system set up for your podcast, it just makes all the difference. And that's what I ended up doing for my podcast 4 years in. I was like, okay, got to have a system in place. And I think it was probably earlier in my podcasting journey that I met somebody, Nicole Holland, who taught me a lot of cool things on how to interact with the people that are coming on, right? She helped me figure something really cool out, which made my podcast look even more professional. So I want to focus on one specific problem today. Content versus relationships. And the relationship leakage that might happen when you're churning and pushing all of this content out. So let's talk about the fundamental shift. The content versus relationships. Now, if you don't have a podcast that is guest-based, then I think you should be fine, because your relationship that you're building with that content is with the audience on the other side. So let's look at the relationships, because most of us are so focused on what's the next topic. Who here is always thinking about, hey, what's the next topic for me? Or what's the next guest that's going to come on my podcast? Who's thinking about it all the time? Or what's the next piece of audio that I'm going to put out that's going to get some kind of feedback from the people on the other side? Like, there's always that question of what in our minds that we're constantly thinking about, constantly dreaming about. It's kind of surreal. And I wonder if I could add another stream bit in here, because my big audience on Facebook is not over here. We're just on LinkedIn, which is totally fine. I can always repurpose this content there. So we're focusing on that what's the next piece of audio. But the truth is, because the true value, the compounding value, comes from the who, right? Who are you bringing on the podcast? The relationships you build with your guest and your listeners and your community. And I've been so blessed to be part of multiple communities over the years, from podcasting communities to beekeeping community to cycling communities, back into podcasting, part of Muslim community, part of my photography, filmmaking. Like, these are separate, different communities that enable me to get here because I was so invested in giving back to that community. So what is that podcast doing for you? How are you building those relationships? So you got to think about it, right? You have these incredible conversations. You bring on fascinating people. You're sharing insights. But then what? For many of us, it's a one and done. And who here, just raise your hand or put a 1 or 2. Put a 2 in there if you're one and done. If you're just pushing those episodes out, hoping that you're building content, and put 2 in if you're feeling like it's not doing enough. I know it's a weird question, and I'm still working on understanding how these polls work. Well, but we're going to keep going. So the episode goes live, and the relationship with that guest, the potential collaborator, that future advocate, it slowly fades away, right? Because we're like, hey, it's cool. You're in that period before getting that podcast set up. You've got those emails going back and forth, and your guests are like, oh my God, I can't wait to come on and talk to you on your podcast. Then you actually do the recording, right? And then after that recording, and between the recording and between the publication of the episode, you're still keeping those connections. They're asking you, oh, when's the episode going to go live? I can't wait to share with my audience, yada, yada, yada. And then as you keep going, once that episode goes live, maybe you forgot. Maybe they forgot. And they're like, oh my God, I don't remember if that episode go live. And then maybe a week or two later, they come back and like, hey, did my episode go live? Like, I was wondering when I could listen to it. So that's what I call relationship leakage, because what's happening is slowly but surely that relationship is going to fade. Here's the concept. You've got a bucket, and let's say this is your podcast, and you keep putting new episodes in this bucket. You keep putting new content in this bucket. New guests coming in, new ideas, right? You keep bringing those things in, but that bucket has a hole in it. It's like filling a bucket with holes in it, right? You keep pouring in water, new episodes, new guests, but the valuable stuff, the relationships, just drains away. We're so busy creating new content that we neglect to nurture the assets we already have. It's like you've planted the seeds and you're no longer watering that plant anymore. You're not going to get any fruits from it, right? So we have to nurture the assets we already have. Those rich conversations and the people behind them. You want to make sure that you're building that connection. You're continuing to connect them with other people in your network. Hey, you should talk to this guy, or you should talk to this guy, right? You want to continue to build that. So now imagine a world where every conversation, every guest that you had, every insight becomes a reusable asset. And this is where Pod Glue comes in. Now, I can't show you the full live demo today, but let me walk you through the concept of how Pod Glue keeps you how Pod Glue helps you plug those leaks so that you're not, you're not losing context. So let's do a little live demo. And this is why I wanted to do the live, because I can showcase some of the things that are on here. All right, so let's go to this scene. All right, so instead of just an MP3, how about you have a dedicated profile for each guest? So I'm going to go to my guest profile. I've got my good friend Ahmed Qureshi here. I've got Alex. I got Andy Wong. Let's go to Andy. Right. So here's his. We have a relationship timeline. Here's information profile for him. Here's his expertise down here. Right. I'm keeping track of these things. What episodes was he on my podcast? Here's an episode that he were on my podcast a few years ago, and here's a new one that I'm working on with him. Portfolio kind of shows you all the different places that he's showing up, right? So this is a dedicated profile for my guests, the episode number, all of those things. So let's see if I can click through to this episode. So let me go to the episode library. I can just simply type in Andy Wong. Where's my Andy Wong? Okay, so clearly it's not showing up in here. Let's do a filter of season 2. Ooh, season 2 is missing. All right. Reset all. So here is the profile. Pod Glue centralizes. What am I saying? So this is the link, or this is the home for the episode, right? It has their key insights, their social links, follow-up tasks, even potential future collaborations. And if you see over here, I've got how can I continue to collaborate with him. Here's some intel in here that's going to show me how to connect with him further. Episode intel. I guess I didn't pull it up yet. Again, this app is in beta. In the Forge section, I can see all of the stuff around him. Obviously, it's not there. Something is not working, but we'll figure it out. And that's why we demo in public, right? Hey, I'm not connecting to this page, or something's up. We'll figure it out. So in the Pod Glue, it's centralizing all of that, right? Turning those fleeting conversations into enduring relationships. Now, we're not just tracking episodes, we're tracking the entire ecosystem around your podcast. All of the episodes, all of the things from the initial outreach to post-production follow-ups. Podgloos ensures that no valuable relationship slips through the cracks. It's about building a system where every episode contributes to a growing network, not just a growing content library. So, I want to hear from you. What's the biggest challenge that you're facing in maintaining relationships with your podcast guests after an episode goes live? I would love to see those thoughts in the chat. And even if I'm not here, I'm going to respond to every single chat that comes in, right? Because the power of the relationship, like we're human beings, like all we want to do is we want to connect with other human beings. And this podcasting is what makes it so much powerful, so much easier to continue to build those connections. Now, I get questions all the time. I feel like I'm constantly chasing guests for social shares. How can I make it easier for them? A question I got from John the other day. Well, it's a classic symptom of relationship leakage, because if you think about it, you're asking your guest, hey, the episode is out. Can you please share it, right? And it's the reason that's a symptom of a relationship leakage is because when you don't have a centralized system, it becomes a manual chore. You're like, oh my God, I gotta send John, or I gotta send this guy that was a guest on my show. I gotta send him this email. I gotta send him images. I gotta send him all the things. And when it's a manual chore, when you have to think about it actively, like, come on, there's so many things that we're already doing constantly. Like, there's one thing to think about or keep in your mind is you're going to be able to, what's that word? You're going to lose track of it. It's not easy to keep everything in your head. It's like spinning those plates and constantly moving back and forth. But if you have a system in place, right? When you have a system in place, that becomes so much easier. So imagine having pre-made social assets and personalized follow-up reminders ready to go. And that's what we're building towards with Podglue. Another question I got is, my podcast is more about solo content. Does this apply to me? And this is something that I struggle a lot because I'm looking to launch a solo podcast myself. And I'm like, is this tool going to do anything for me? And here's the truth. Because even the solo podcasters, they have relationship with their audience, right? And if you ever bring on guests, the principles of nurturing those connections become even more critical. Plus, think about the relationships you build with resources, tools, and even other podcasters in your niche. So, to recap, what I've been sharing here is about how most podcasters never compound because we're focused on content volume instead of relationship value, right? We're losing those valuable connections through relationship leakage. And the solutions lies in building systems that treat conversations as assets, not just episodes. I want to actually play this song. Let's see if it is ready. I was wondering if it was ready before. And then the time ran out, so I was like, oh my God, I got to jump on live and keep myself accountable. Right, so this song is, again, focusing on the relationship. I'm wondering which one, compounding. So let me know if you can hear the sound. You should be able to hear this. If I pause here. Is my audio coming through? Yeah, it looks like it. Okay. So here's the song.
I planted something small last March. A conversation with a stranger in the dark. Didn't go viral, didn't break the charts. Just two people being honest from the start. 6 months later, she sent me your name. Said you should talk to him, he's building the same. And that introduction opened up a door that I never would have found on the conference floor. Oh, I'm not chasing one bright moment, I'm not living for the spike. I'm building what the algorithm doesn't measure. I'm compounding overnight, seed by seed and show by show. Trust is something you can't rush. And the thing about compounding is it only works if you don't give up. Episode 47, nobody heard, but the guests remembered every single word. Called me back a year later with the deal. Said I trust you cause I know the way you feel. That's not a download, that's not a metric, that's a relationship that turned electric. And it started with a mic and a question asked with care, and a system that remembered I was there. I'm not chasing one bright moment, I'm not living for the spike. I'm building what the algorithm doesn't measure. I'm compounding overnight, seed by seed and show by show. Trust is something you can't rush. And the thing about compounding is it only works if you don't give up. They'll tell you it's about the numbers, they'll tell you bigger, faster, more. But the deepest wells were dug by people who kept showing up when nobody kept score. We're not chasing one bright moment, we're not living for the spike. We're building what the algorithm can't measure. We're compounding every night, guess by guess and show by show. Trust is something you can't fake. And the thing about compounding is it's everything you didn't know you made. Keep showing up, keep showing up, oh, keep showing up, keep showing up. The compound's working even when you can't see enough. Keep showing up. Keep showing up.
So that, my friends, is the song called Compounding. It's on the Poglu Sessions album. And again, it served the purpose, right? I didn't realize what I was missing. And it's so important to continue to have those conversations and compound those relationships. Because we're focusing on the content volume instead of the relationship value. So, the solution lies in building systems that treat conversations. So what if every episode became a reusable asset? What if every conversation led to a deeper connection? And that's the promise of podcast relationship management. That's the promise of podcast relationship management, a new term that I've coined, PRM. And that's what Podglue is designed to help you achieve. So the question is, if you're ready to stop letting good conversations disappear into a feed, Podglue is built for that. We're currently in beta, and I invite you to join the waitlist to be among the first to experience a smarter way to podcast. The link's in the description. You can also be excited. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, thank you so much for sticking around with me and watching me struggle as I streamline my process of live streaming here day after day. Thanks so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.